It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Ready? I'm not. Hold on. I got my spit out. Hey everyone, it's Mimi and Weezes.
Hey guys, what's good?
Today we're gonna cover the 1976 Chowchilla Kidnapping story. Okay, I guess Jesus isn't gonna talk today. So I'll just do this on my own.
I thought you were gonna say more, dude. I was like, tell the story, and then I was like, wait. I was like, she's gonna say, all right. This incident happened in 1978. Am I wrong? 76.
I just said the 1976 Chowchilla Kidnapping.
I wasn't paying attention to you, dude. I was thinking about what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, dude.
It happened July 15th, 1976, in Chowchilla, California. First off, let's start by saying Chowchilla is a whack-ass name.
It totally sounds like a California thing to say, bro. Like, damn, dude,
Yeah.
That was so Chowchilla of you. I'm just kidding.
Right, for real. It does sound like, oh, for sure, brother. Like, serves up Chowchilla.
Or maybe
like
it's like some food too. Like, let's go get some Chowchillas after work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, you guys want to have dinner at Chowchilla's?
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway.
And also chinchillas.
Yeah, that's what I think of every single time. It's a chinchilla. But anyway, so back to the story. The Chowchilla Kidnapping was an incident where three armed men, hijacked a school bus. They went in with like pantyhose on their face. They didn't even buy legit masks, dude. They just put pantyhose on their face. They had guns. They trapped this bus on like a little road. And I'm having a hard time understanding, I guess, like how they trapped the bus and then
how the bus didn't like how do I say? It's a bigger car, like try ramming its way out, right?
Yeah, and how they got onto the bus.
Maybe the guy was like the bus driver was thinking about like the safety of the kids more than like I don't know.
He was thinking of the safety of the kids, so he let three armed people with masks on the bus, Jesus.
But like, what if he saw guns, dude? What if he saw guns?
Yeah,
he started shooting at the bus.
They did have guns. They did have guns. So, I mean, either way, this would be hard. This would be a hard thing to be the bus driver and be like, well, shit, dude, I guess you guys can come on. Or, so apparently they trap him on this little street, right? So he couldn't like drive out. The guys get on the bus, hold everyone at gunpoint. They have two like blacked out vans. So, everyone always jokes about like white creeper vans and whatnot. It was like
candy vans, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been there.
Like,
no, I was just kidding.
You've been to the candy van, dude?
I've been to the candy van, dude. There was no candy. But at the same time, they returned me. So
that's how Jesus got to America. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God. But anyways, so they walk all these kids and the bus driver off the bus, but they have to like split them up into groups because they had two vans to put them in, right? So they put them all into these little vans. Kids. Yeah, there's too many kids, dude. So they put them into these vans, and then they proceed on a 11-hour journey trapped in these little vans. No potty breaks, no stopping, no nothing. They just straight up in these hot ass vans with all these kids drive them 11 hours and they have no idea what's going on. So just imagine being like, these kids were, the age ranges were from 5 to 14 years old. So there were some like 5-year-olds on this bus, dude. Like little kids.
Imagine that, dude. Like the only time you see like that kind of stuff is on TV, and those are bad guys. Imagine those kids. A lot of them probably thought like, oh, we're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that right away. I'd be terrified. So they drive them. I can't remember where they drove them to. Oh, Livermore. They drove them to Livermore. That's where. To like this rock quarry place. And what do, Jesus? They put them all in like a box truck trailer.
Yeah.
And then bury them alive like 12 feet underground. in the box truck.
They basically stuffed them into a van, and then stuffed them into another van, and then stuffed them into a big ass container.
Yeah, it was like an underground prison. Like there was beds and stuff in there. I have a picture of it, so I'll post that and post the links and stuff so you guys can see the pictures. But it literally is like disgusting, the little setup that they had. And so at this point, these people were buried in there for 16 hours. So there was obviously like a little hole and like a grate almost really high up so that they could breathe and whatnot, because their goal wasn't to like kill these kids or anything. They just wanted to get ransom money, and they just thought like, oh, what a great idea. Let's kidnap these kids, get $5 million, then we'll just like get off scot-free. Like we'll just be rich. Like that's literally what they thought, dude.
They could have gotten this money if these kids were white. No, I'm just playing.
They were. Yeah.
Damn, dude. So you're telling me if I kidnap? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, they didn't get the money. So here's why. The bus driver and like 2 or 3 of the older kids, because there was like some teenagers on there too, they like stacked up the mattresses really high until they could get up to like the little, I don't know,
ceiling vent.
Yeah, the little ceiling thing. Like it was like a metal plate on the roof so that they could. There's a picture of it. It's hard to explain. But there was like a metal ceiling grate thingy, and so they stacked the mattresses up high enough that they could stand on it and like reach up there. But on top of that metal plate, they had like a truck battery and like a ton of dirt on it. So they had to like dig their way out of the top, make a hole, move the truck battery, and then like they helped all the other 24 kids because there was 3 of them. So then they helped the 24 other kids escape through that little hole, and then they were able to find help after that.
So I have something, Miranda, on before, like when they were getting before they were buried, like there was a moment where the kids were getting, you know how you said that they were moved from the van to the container.
Yeah.
They would these guys, they would get one kid, pull him out, and then shut the door. And then they kept on doing that, right? So the previous kid, like the one before that was next to get grabbed, wouldn't see anything. So he wouldn't see like where's the other kid. So imagine that. The first kid didn't know that he was about to get grabbed, and then everyone else before that thought that these kids were getting killed one by one.
Ooh, that's so scary, dude.
The last person, it was this little girl, and she said that literally that was her final moment. She was just counting her time until she died.
Dude, that's scary. Imagine like the trauma that these kids had to go through, because not only were they like kidnapped and stuff, but they were stuffed in a little box, and they didn't have like a place to go to the bathroom either. So a lot of the kids, no one died. So we'll start with that. None of the kids or the bus driver died. So everyone survived, but at what cost? You know, they had like night terrors. They were terrified to ride the bus. They were terrified to leave their parents. Like, imagine all of that. Right.
And then back then, it's not like now. Back then, they thought that, you know, because obviously these kids had PTSD, right? That's what it is. And back then, they didn't think that children could get PTSD. They thought only soldiers and grown adults, you know. And the problem is that they couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. Like they're like, oh, what's wrong with them? Like they didn't know it was PTSD.
No, they literally didn't, because like you said, like nowadays they're starting to probably overdiagnose like PTSD and all that stuff. But back then they were just like, get over it. You're home. You're not dead. This didn't happen. Like, suck it up.
Imagine, dude.
So after the kidnappings, like we were saying, how they didn't think, you know, PTSD was a thing back then. They had a professional like psychiatrist come in, and the one psychiatrist who, this sounds stupid, right? They said, oh, I'm going to predict that only one of all 26 of these kids, you know, one of them will be like emotionally affected. Like, it's not going to be a big deal. That's what they said about these kids being kidnapped and shoved in like a thing and held at gunpoint and being like, because what? They were in the bunker thingy underground or in the box trailer underground for 16 hours. Plus, they had an 11-hour drive right before that. So they've been gone from their parents this whole time, not able to go potty in the car, nothing, or having to have an accident in their parents.
Scared because they saw these
Terrified.
people had shotguns with them.
Yeah. And he said only one of them will be affected. But then another doctor came in and was like, you're dead wrong. Like that's not gonna happen. So like even
He's
5
like,
months.
You mean one out of the 25 isn't affected?
Yeah, isn't gonna be affected or something. But like 5 months after the whole incident, parents were saying like they were terrified because their kids were still waking up like screaming, like waking themselves up, having nightmares, screaming in their sleep and all that stuff. And then like you said, these parents didn't want to admit. So like no parent would admit that like their kid was the 1 in 26. So everyone just kept being like, oh, I don't know, like he's fine. But like by that time, 100% of the kids
he keeps
were
on peeing his pants at night. I don't know why. Like it's so weird.
But then like obviously
I keep on beating him. It doesn't work.
it doesn't work. I don't know. He just can't suck it up. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. Parents these days are way different than it was back then because they'd be like, help my kid, put him on meds, do something. Back then they were like, no, rub some dirt on him, brother. You go to school.
put some Vicks Vaporub on his eyes.
Yeah, do something. But yeah, dude. So then keep in mind, these dudes don't get caught right away. So it was 2 weeks until they found out who the guys were. And they were able to arrest them. And it was young people. It wasn't like old men, dude. It was two 24-year-olds. And then one of those people's like younger brother.
Maybe we should tell them like where they escaped from too. Is when they got out of that box or whatever, they realized they were like at a construction site. And when they started running, they started seeing people with hard hats and orange, and that's when they got help. And in that moment, after they escaped and whatnot, they called the cops. Obviously, instead of the cops rolling up, it said like 4 or 5 FBI trucks rolled up to the construction site, and then and started getting all these kids, back in a bus. So imagine that. Imagine they just escaped.
Yeah, then you get put in a bus again, dude.
Back in the bus.
Well, and you know what's wild? So it was like a rock quarry is like what it was. So basically like a construction place, like just one of those big yards. One of the guys, so I'll tell you the names. Frederick Woods, he was 24. His dad owned the place that they buried the kids and stuff. So his dad was like the owner of this rock place. And then James Schoenfeld, I think is how you say it. He's 24. That was like his business partner, basically like the Frederick Woods, like kidnapping partner. And then that James kid's younger brother, he was their helper. His name was Richard. It doesn't say how old he was. He must have been like pretty young because it doesn't say his age. So those were the three. So they're all under 25 years old planning this thing. When they like found that these guys were like the guilty ones, they had all these documents in their possession. They had like a paper with the whole plan for kidnapping and a rough draft of the ransom letter that they were going to send out. They wanted $5 million is what they were asking for in exchange for the kids. And they also had a list of all the victims' identities and their fingerprints, dude.
Damn. So it was they planned it out. It was calculated.
Yeah. Well, and I'm assuming they got like their names and fingerprints once they had kidnapped them all, because it's not like kids have their fingerprints in the database really that young, I don't think. So they had already gotten all that. They had the rough draft. They had the whole plan for the kidnapping and all that stuff. And so they were all initially sentenced to life in prison without parole. But then they were able to like change that a few years later after like they got an appeal. They went through the panel and they declared that they were eligible for parole, dude, which I think is insane. So all of them are out on parole. I don't know.
All these people and not get the full hammer from the justice system, bro.
Yeah. So Richard, that was the youngest one, dude.
Yeah.
He spent 36 years in there before he got paroled. James, his older brother, He got paroled after 39 years in prison. And then Woods, that's the guy who his dad owned the place, he got paroled after 46 years in prison.
You know, they're out. They're out basically, right?
I wonder if they're all still alive. Like they're still of decent age. Like they're not like 90 or anything.
They'd be in their 60s, 70s.
Yeah. All three have been paroled and are still alive. Yeah. That's wild. Ew, and they look so old. I'm gonna post the pictures of them in like now compared to when they got arrested. Dude, this is crazy to see. And you can still tell which one is which, but they spent their whole entire lives in prison since this moment.
God.
Like since this picture and then to this one when they got out. That's wild. But yeah. So
okay, dude, so there was you know, after these kids were saved and they took them to, you know, I said the FBI's trucks rolled up and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they took them to the FBI center or whatever, like the detention center or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they made these kids, like, you know, they were all filthy and shit. They well, they cleaned them up like prison style, basically, with hose and shit.
Oh my God, dude.
And then they gave them clothes, but obviously they only had inmate clothes. So you can see there's pictures of all these kids just with rolled up sleeves. Some people some kids are like flapping their arms around and shit. Like the kids were having, you know, they were happy because they were free, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, dude, it feels like they were treating them like prisoners. And then they interrogated them for 2+ hours each kid.
That's insane. You know what else they did is they made them sit on a float in a parade. All the surviving kids, like, I mean, all of the kids survived, but they're calling them like the victims and the survivors is what they keep calling them.
The heroes of Chowchilla. No, just kidding.
Yeah, they literally made them sit on a float for a parade to celebrate their escape. And so they had to, like, after all this, go be celebrated like in a parade that they escaped. And like, it just seems like so much, you know what I mean?
It does. It really does. It feels like they didn't really, like, they weren't respecting their privacy.
Yeah. And like the aftermath of all of this, dude.
Yeah.
Was like they studied panic attacks in the kids who have been kidnapped, nightmares, obviously, personality changes. A lot of them were like afraid of the dark, afraid of cars, afraid of wind, afraid of dogs, and all kinds of just like stuff like that they had to experience when they were out there, right? One of the kids shot a tourist with a BB gun because his car broke down in front of his house, and he got all freaked out. And then a lot of them...
Hey, repercussion, bro. You show up to my house, I'm shooting you with a BB gun as a warning shot. As a warning shot. No, I'm just kidding.
And then a lot of them, like, even 25 years after, reported still suffering from, like, PTSD stuff. And they had, like, hardcore depression and, like, substance abuse issues and all kinds of stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, dude, they stole their childhood, basically. They took everything from them. You know, let me bring you back, Miranda, to, again, you know, like you said, the aftermath.
Yeah.
You know, these kids, like you said, that they had that festival for them. They celebrated them or whatever. And then the following, like, and after that, they took everyone, you know, that whole class, including the bus driver, they all went to Disneyland. And a little girl, one of the girls, sorry, she like vividly puts it into detail how, you know, after all that, like going to Disneyland, like most of the kids there realized how, like, how unimportant basically it was to be there. How, like, they feel like they took everything from them like that. They didn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them, they were when they went to Disneyland, that's what they realized. Like they were lost. Like what they didn't know how do I say, reassociate yourself into life, because they obviously
disassociated.
They disassociated themselves.
Yeah.
While being kidnapped. And, well, like you said, a lot of them, it went into substance abuse, drugs, and all this.
Well,
and it's for the same reason.
A couple of them have actually, I don't know how many, but the article that I read said a number of them have been put in prison for, and I quote, doing something controlling to somebody else. So I don't know exactly what that means.
Does that means pimping them out, Miranda?
Yeah, doing something, or domestic violence, or
just call
sexual
me
assault,
a pimp
stuff
named
like that.
Slipback, dude.
But yeah, and another thing, in 2016, they actually, all the 25 surviving victims, because some people have passed away, they settled the lawsuit finally that they had like filed against the kidnappers. They did get the money, and they got the money from that Frederick Woods guy because he had a trust fund, because like obviously his dad owned that, like construction and whatnot. The exact amount of the settlement was
it's like,
not
Miranda, so
disclosed.
you're telling me to find a girl with a trust fund.
Yeah, find a trust fund girl, dude.
Okay.
Real depends shit. Though. Yeah, real shit, dude. One of them, like, they didn't disclose the amount though. That was never said. But one of the survivors said it was enough to pay for some serious therapy, but it's not enough to buy a house. That's what they said. So
he's like, they only gave me 200,000. Oh,
yeah.
I'm grateful, like, bro.
I
it's
know.
a lifetime. I know it's a lifetime of trauma, but you getting some money still.
Mm-hmm.
Be grateful for any amount.
Yep.
Some serious therapy, dude. Who are you going to therapy, bro? It's
I know. Get some
max.
insurance.
It's like 150.
150 a session, dude.
That's max. That's like 95 is the cheapest. No, just kidding.
Yeah, no. If you get insurance too, like, how much therapy do you need? Like $200K worth of therapy. You'd invest.
It's like not for a house. He was looking for $2 million houses.
I know. But
not to make fun of him, but it's just...
But no, I mean, the whole story is crazy. Just the fact that I don't think anything like this could happen like in today's day.
Without yeah, because everyone has a phone, right?
Yeah, everyone has a phone.
But the thing is, it probably could happen,
kids.
Miranda. Like, here's the thing. There's a, just in Arizona alone, I just connected some dots, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of mountains and shit. What if a bus driver accidentally took him to like a dead area in a mountain zone and then just kidnapped some kids? Yeah,
but I mean, there's things like air tags now and stuff.
Yeah, but those air tags don't work where there's no signal.
Yeah, they do.
Air tags only work if you have an iPhone and if there's an active iPhone. If there's no active iPhone, like say, it don't work.
But I'm saying, like, I can track my dogs on there. All my dogs have air tags on, and if they escape, like, I have it connected to find my, like, it's connected to my phone. So if I can track them on my phone wherever they're at. I don't know what it would be like if they got lost in the woods or something. I don't know if, like, how the service works on an air tag, or if you can just track it no matter what.
Okay, dude. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
In this kind of situation, like, or no, not this kind of situation. It's like, we grew up in this weird age where we watched all these movies of people getting kidnapped. So we always just had that weird, like, what if?
Yeah.
Like, what if you got kidnapped, bro?
I don't know, dude. I still get scared about it. Like, I know that's, like, human trafficking is such a big thing these days, too. Especially when I was living in Phoenix, where it's, like, extremely common to get, like, human trafficked there, because it's, like, touching Mexico, and people just take them over the border and stuff. And there's, like, tunnels into Mexico from Arizona, like, easy stuff. And people it's like a serious problem there. And it is a serious problem everywhere here, but like really, really, really bad down there. And I used to think about it all the time. Like, I would get so scared, especially when I was living by myself. And I had so then I got a concealed carry. And so when I would go on my bus by myself, I carried a gun with me all the time. I have like a taser and like a little stabby thing, and it looks like a flashlight. That way, when I would walk the dogs at night, or if I had to go to the mailbox or anything, it looks like just a flashlight. But then, boom! All of a sudden, like hundreds and thousands of volts of lightning, and then it has like a little thing. So if you if you jab it onto someone, it's like got these pokey things, but they twist sideways. So you jab and twist, and it like screws in. But like if I actually got taken, dude, I don't know. I feel
would you fight for your life?
I would fight for my life, dude. I would fight for my life. I wouldn't just when people give up, sometimes people have to pretend to give up and like make it seem like, oh, I like want to be here, like when you watch movies and stuff, you always think like there's always the dumb girl in all of the kidnapping movies who's like doesn't have any strength or any idea. She's like, when he comes here, I'm gonna scratch his face and escape. Like, no, you're not. Like, this dude overpowers you by 10 times. That's the problem with I'm only 5'2". If some freaking huge dude or even a 6 foot tall dude or a 5'10" dude, like they're taller than me and stronger than me and they run faster than me most likely, like, you know. So when you're a woman especially, you have to try and think of another way to escape. Like you're gonna have to hurt them seriously or escape when no one's looking and keep going.
I feel you.
Like I feel like movies have honestly helped us in that way to where we're so untrusting now. Like if I were to be driving down, say I was driving in the mountains by myself or even with Miles, and some girl or some child was all bloody on the street, like help, I would not stop and help them.
The harsh truth, dude. Like I was saying, the we the people goes out the door real quick, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but
like you
but
can't
in
trust
reality,
them.
that's not your business.
Exactly.
Like, you gonna risk your life over someone you don't even know?
And like it makes you sound like mean, being like, no, I wouldn't help some. Like right now, if me and Braden are here at the house and someone's banging on the door, like help, call the police. Like I'll call the police, but you ain't coming in. Like I know that's so mean, but that's
Because
literally
that
how they're
gives
setting
means to
people up.
you becoming a target and you getting killed.
Exactly. The way they like get people, they'll like have women who look innocent, you know, they'll pick someone like me or someone like Lauren or whatever, and then they'll be like, you're gonna be the one who goes out and finds the people, and this is how you're gonna do it. So they'll follow people into the store, into the grocery store. They'll say, okay, this girl came in by herself. She's not with a man. She doesn't have a friend. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't have a dog in her car. Nothing. She's all alone. So put this on her windshield. You know, that way she'll come back out to the car. She'll load all her groceries. She'll see that there's a big thing on her windshield. So she'll have to get out to go around to the front of the car. And then there will be a van parked on the other side of the parking spot. And then they just grab you and take you. That easy. Like that was something that they were doing in Arizona. And then they would have like, literally they were victimizing women with like using other women, and they would be like, hi, I'm like, I really need help, I can't find my kid, like can you help me find my kid, I can't find them. And then they would just fucking take you and there was never a kid. They would just like trap you so that you'd be alone and like vulnerable and trying to help this lady, then boop, stolen.
God.
So you literally can't trust anything. Like if there's a sign on my windshield, I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just driving with that on there, literally. So there's two things that happen in Arizona that are important for people to hear, especially if you're a single woman and you're like living alone or anything, or you're just work from home, anything like that.
Yeah.
So there was this lady who lived in my neighborhood in Goodyear, Arizona, and it was just her. She was a single mom. I think she was like 26, 27. She had a 3-year-old toddler. She worked from home and she went to get groceries this one day. And there was these kids and they had just like, they didn't even plan to talk to her. They just planned on like sexually assaulting her. Like that was their plan. And they waited until she came home from the grocery store and she had like opened her trunk and she was taking groceries in, right? She has her kid, her 3-year-old with her, and he's walking to the front door. She unlocks the door and like opens it and goes to pick up the groceries. And he just was like hiding behind like the bushes at her house. And he just charges her, shoves her in the front door with the kid, and just R-words her right there in front of the baby and everything. And this literally just happens in my neighborhood. And the kid was 17, Jesus.
God.
Like a 17-year-old kid did this by himself. And then another incident that's not this bad, but like I witnessed it myself. I was in my bus and I had to stop at the gas station for gas. And it's like early because I had to leave the house pretty early to go get gas and fill up my generator and do all that. So I would be out earlier than now. I stopped at the same gas station. I stop at every single morning to fill my bus up. The people know me there, you know. And I had parked like in the middle area because there was a diesel pump there. So I always stopped there. There was another single girl there. She was in a little car by herself. She pulled up at the spot next to me. I had just finished filling my bus with fuel and I got back in and I closed my bus door. And I'm in there like cleaning up, and I could hear some like dudes talking. And so I went to the front and I was like watching out the window, and it was like a van, like a minivan, and there was 3 guys in it. And they like pulled up next to her and they were like talking to her, and she was like, what? And because she was filling with gas still. And they were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. And he was like, oh, come closer. And then she started walking over there. And I was like, hell no. So I rolled down my window all fast. And I was like, hey, are you all right? Did you need anything? And she was like, oh, I'm fine. And then they just drove off, dude. I was like, were they going to take her right here? Or was it just like a coincidence? Like, what just happened?
No,
and
dude, they were, dude. They for sure were.
And she like got back in her car and then just like drove away. And I was like,
See, and that's the problem, Miranda. See, we were raised. See, I hate when I always have to bring this up, but we were raised like in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
We were raised in hostile environments. Even how do I say? Even though, let's just say we had an okay house, right? Maybe like the people we hung around with, or just the neighborhoods we were bad. Like for, I always say this, like I have like real bad situational awareness where I'm just like, even when I'm at the gas station, if I go to a restaurant, like I'm just like peeking over, right? I look over, I'm like, I make sure I look where every exit is. I think about like in a situation like if something goes down, like where am I pulling these people? I'm like, let's fucking go over here, dip over here. There's an exit over here. Like I always think of stuff like that, and that's the problem with these people. Like some people don't have any situational awareness. Like they'll be like, let's go over here to this restaurant in this super bad neighborhood. It's like, oh, so you want to get robbed?
But me, I still get very anxious all the time. Like you said, when you go to a certain place, you're like, okay, let's sit over here in case something bad happens, because I'm not going to be trapped in the middle of all this, you know? And I think about that when I go to the movie theater. There's exits at the bottom, but not at the top. If I'm sitting in the back row and something horrible happens in here, where am I going to go? Just lay on the floor and pretend to be dead? Like, what do you do? Like, I always think about that stuff, and most people don't. But, like, I'm constantly thinking worst case scenario.
Some people just have it. Some people don't. Like, simple as that.
Yeah.
I would hope. I hate. You know, dude. It's always about protect the kids. I just hate how we don't protect the kids as much as we should.
Yeah.
Yeehaw, brother.